The cafeteria security camera would capture everything in 43 minutes. But first, you need to understand why a girl who could break bones chose to break hearts instead. Emma. Sullivan traced the 3-inch scar on her left forearm without thinking, a habit she'd developed over the past 4 years whenever the world pressed too close. The pale line told a story about twisted metal, shattered glass, and the last time she'd seen her father alive. He'd unbuckled his seatbelt to push her clear of the wreckage, trading his life for hers with the same fluid grace he'd used in their garage dojo, teaching her that true strength meant knowing when not to use it. October mornings at Preston Academy carried a particular kind of chill. Emma pulled her second-hand North Face jacket tighter as she crossed the parking lot, her sensible Honda standing out among the BMWs and Teslas. She'd been awake since 4:30, practicing Aikido forms while her mother slept off another night shift at Hartford General. Power flows like water, her father used to say. You don't fight the current, Emma girl. You redirect it. The library's east wing was always empty this early. She had 40 minutes before the entitled masses would stumble in.
Sullivan.
Mason Whitmore stood at the end of her table, all 6'2" of cultivated arrogance. I'm going to need you to handle my calc homework, not asked. Behind him, Tyler, Connor, and Brad formed a wall of muscle and privilege. Emma didn't look up. The answer key is online if you know where to look. Mason's hand slammed down on her notebook. I'm not asking. Consider it payment for letting you breathe the same air as us. Now she did look up, meeting his ice-blue eyes with steady gaze. My name is Emma, and the answer is no. Mason leaned in close. You have no idea who you're talking to. My father owns the biggest law firm in Hartford. One phone call, and your little free ride here disappears. Emma's fingers found her scar. Then make the call. But you won't, because if you could solve your problems with Daddy's money, you wouldn't be here at 7 o'clock in the morning trying to intimidate someone half your size. Mason straightened slowly. This isn't over, Sullivan. It never is with people like you, Emma replied, already turning back to her physics homework. What she didn't know was that Ethan Park, 3 tables away, had heard everything, and that his guilt over what he'd done for Mason's crew was about to transform into something far more dangerous than loyalty. The harassment started small. A jammed locker. Air let out of her tire. Homework that mysteriously vanished. Always with witnesses who'd swear it was an accident. He's escalating, Olivia said 2 weeks later, examining Emma's latest bruise. We need to report this. Emma shook her head. To who? Principal Davidson, who gets a new gymnasium every time the Whitmores write a check. Then what's your plan? I'm waiting, Emma said simply. For him to make a mistake? The mistake came on a Thursday in November. Emma was walking to her car after debate practice when footsteps echoed behind her in the parking garage. Going somewhere? Mason emerged from behind a pillar, his crew spreading out to block her escape routes. I need to get home, Emma said evenly, keys between her fingers. See, that's your problem. You think you belong here? Mason stepped closer. Think you can disrespect me and just walk away? His hand shot out, grabbing her backpack strap. I think I'm someone teaching you a lesson about knowing your place. Emma turned into the pull instead of resisting it, using his momentum against him. Her body pivoted smoothly, and suddenly Mason was stumbling forward into Tyler and Connor. All 3 tangling in a heap, Emma stood perfectly still, hands at her sides, having never thrown a punch. I think I'm someone who's late for dinner with her mother. What she didn't know was that Ethan Park had been crouched behind a nearby car, phone in hand, recording everything. He thought about his little sister Sunny, how Emma had once stood between her and a group of older girls. People remember kindness, Ethan thought, uploading the video to a secure cloud server. The retaliation came swift. Emma received an email citing her for physical aggression against fellow students. By lunch, the story had morphed into Emma attacking Mason unprovoked. They're setting you up, Olivia hissed. This is what they do. Provoke a reaction, then play victim. Emma. Mixed compounds with steady hands. Let them. My dad used to say that the hardest part of Aikido wasn't learning to fight, it was learning to wait. The disciplinary meeting was a masterclass in institutional power. Richard Whitmore sat at the table like he owned it, which given his donations, he practically did. Beside him, a lawyer shuffled papers with practiced intimidation. "Miss Sullivan," Principal Davidson began, "we've heard some deeply concerning reports about your behavior." "I understand self-defense law in Connecticut," Emma replied. "I understand that when someone grabs you against your will, you have the right to protect yourself using reasonable force." The door opened. A middle-aged Korean man walked in carrying a battered briefcase. "Apologies for my lateness. David Kim, attorney at law. I'll be representing Miss Sullivan." Richard Whitmore's eyes narrowed. "This is a school disciplinary meeting, not a courtroom," Funny David said, "because it looks like you brought backup." He nodded at Peterson. "Pro bono. I owed her father a debt. 10 years of Aikido lessons for my daughter after my ex-wife's boyfriend put her in the hospital. Michael Sullivan never charged me a dime." David pulled out a tablet. "Would you like to see the video of your son attacking my client in the parking garage? Or should we skip straight to the part where we discuss Title Ike's violations?" The room erupted. Through it all, David sat perfectly still. Finally, he spoke again. "Here's what's going to happen. This disciplinary action is going to disappear. The harassment of my client is going to stop. And if I hear so much as a whisper about retaliation, I'll file a suit that will make your donation history look like pocket change." Outside the office, Emma finally allowed herself to breathe. "Your father saved my daughter's life," David said. "Not from the boyfriend, from what came after. He taught her to be strong without being violent. I don't know how to thank you. Graduate. Go to college. Make something of yourself. And when you can help someone else's daughter, do it." He handed her a business card. "In the meantime, document everything. Paper trails win cases." The flood began the very next day. Emma's phone buzzed. Unknown number. The photo showed her mother leaving the hospital parking garage at 2 o'clock in the morning. Another buzz. Another photo. The message came 30 seconds later. "Nice family. Be a shame if mommy had an accident driving home tired some night." Emma screenshotted everything, forwarded it to David, then blocked the number. When she looked up, Mason was watching her from across the cafeteria. "You got the pictures?" he said, appearing at her table. "Good. I wanted to make sure we understood each other. What I understand is that you just committed felony harassment and stalking. With evidence," his smirk faltered. "You wouldn't. Your scholarship is worth less than my mother's safety." Then Mason called out loud enough for the entire cafeteria to hear, "Prom's coming up. You're going to be my date." The cafeteria fell silent. 300 students turned to stare. Emma turned back slowly. "Excuse me? You heard me? You're going to be my arm candy at prom. And if you're very good, maybe I'll even let you keep your scholarship. Maybe your mom keeps her job without any complications." He pulled out his phone. Amazing what you can do with social security numbers these days. Emma stood perfectly still in the center of the cafeteria. "No," she said simply. "I don't think you understand. This isn't a request." "I understand perfectly. You're threatened by me, by the fact that I won't bow down to you, won't pretend you're anything more than a scared little boy playing dress-up in Daddy's power." Mason's face cycled through emotions like a broken traffic light. "You think because your dead cop daddy taught you some moves, you're untouchable?" Emma felt a strange calm descend. "I think you're about to do something you'll regret." Time slowed. Emma saw Mason's hand rising, saw 300 phones lifting to record. She saw Ethan Park standing on a cafeteria table, his phone held high and steady. Mason lunged. His hand shot behind her, fingers finding the strap of her bra through her shirt with practiced ease. "Recording me, bitch?" He yanked hard. "Let's give them a show." The crack of elastic against skin echoed like a gunshot. 4 years of training took over. Emma pivoted on her left foot, using his momentum against him. Her right hand caught his wrist, her left hand found his elbow. Mason's eyes widened as he realized he was airborne. He flew in a perfect arc before crashing onto the cafeteria floor. The crack when he hit wasn't from the floor. Mason screamed, his right arm hanging at an impossible angle. Collarbone snapped. Emma stood over him, hands at her sides, breathing steady. "My arm," Mason writhed. "She broke my fucking arm." Then Ethan Park stepped forward. Everyone saw it. He assaulted her, grabbed her bra strap. That's sexual assault. She defended herself. He held his phone high. I've been recording them for 2 months. Every threat, every plan. I've got 40 hours of footage. The cafeteria erupted. Nobody move. Vice Principal Rodriguez surveyed the chaos. Someone call 911. Already did. Olivia appeared at Emma's side. Police and ambulance. ETA 3 minutes. The next hour blurred together in sirens and statements. Paramedics loaded Mason onto a stretcher. Police took statements. Ethan had already sent his videos to 6 different news outlets. Hashtag Preston Assault was trending nationally. Where is she? Richard's voice boomed. Where's the girl who attacked my son? Your son is being charged with sexual assault, David said calmly. The girl who defended herself is my client. Richard burst through the door, 3 lawyers behind him. She broke his collarbone, dislocated his shoulder. That's aggravated assault. Actually, a new voice said from the doorway. Judge Rebecca Hayes walked in. It's textbook self-defense, Your Honor, Richard started. This is highly irregular. So is a prominent attorney's son sexually assaulting a minor in front of 300 witnesses. I was having lunch nearby when this hit the news. She pulled out a tablet showing the cafeteria video. Mr. Park has been very thorough. Multiple angles, clear audio. Your son's saying let's give them a show while committing sexual battery. Over the next 3 days, Preston Academy transformed into a media circus. But it was Ethan's full video release that changed everything. 40 hours of footage showing Mason and his crew planning harassment campaigns, with Richard Whitmore appearing in several clips, advising his son on how to apply pressure without leaving evidence. The most damning video showed Mason, Tyler, and Connor in the Whitmore study. She thinks she's untouchable, Mason slurred. So touch her, Richard's voice came from off camera. But be smart about it. Make her come to you. Make her beg. What if she doesn't? Then you escalate until she does. Everyone has a breaking point, son. You just have to find the right pressure. The video went nuclear. The criminal trial moved with surprising speed. When Emma took the stand, the courtroom was packed. She described the escalation, the threats, the moment Mason grabbed her bra strap. And then I defended myself using Aikido techniques my father taught me. What did he teach you about violence? Emma looked directly at Mason. That true strength is knowing when not to use it. That you should never fight unless you have no other choice. And that when you do fight, you use only the force necessary to stop the threat. The verdict came. Guilty on all counts. Mason was sentenced to 8 months in juvenile detention and required to register as a sex offender. The civil suit came next. David Kim filed a comprehensive lawsuit against Mason Richard Preston Academy and the Whitmore law firm. I'll try to lowball you, David warned. The first offer was $75,000. Emma rejected it. By the time they reached mediation, Richard Whitmore's firm was hemorrhaging clients. $2 million, Richard's lead attorney said. That's our limit. 2.5, David countered. And a public apology full page in the Hartford Courant and the New York Times. That's extortion. That's accountability, Emma spoke. Something your client should have, taught his son. They settled for $2.50 million. It took 6 months to find the right building in Old Auto. Shop on the east side of Hartford in a neighborhood where kids needed safe spaces. Emma paid cash. The Sullivan Dojo opened on a rainy Tuesday in September. Emma expected maybe a handful of curious locals. Instead, 50 people stood outside waiting. The first student to sign up was Isabella Chen, 14 years old, with fading bruises on her arms. I saw the video. My stepfather, he grabs me too. Not like that, but we'll start with stance work, Emma said gently. Balance first, power comes later. Within 6 months, the Sullivan Dojo had 200 regular students. Emma hired instructors, partnered with women's shelters, worked with the police department, teaching de-escalation techniques. The letters started coming. Stories of strength, found in unexpected moments. Oh dear, Emma, one read. You don't know me, but I was there that day in the cafeteria. My boyfriend had been getting rougher with me. Then I watched you stand there calm as anything while that boy attacked you. Watched you defend yourself without hatred, without excess, just necessity. Last month, my boyfriend grabbed me the same way Mason grabbed you. And instead of freezing, I remembered you. I flipped him, just like you flipped Mason. I'm writing this from my dorm room at UConn, where I'm studying criminal justice. I'm free. I'm safe. And I'm strong. Because 2 years ago, a girl I'd never met showed me it was possible. Thank you. Forever grateful, Sarah. Emma added the letter to a folder labeled Why We Fight. It now held hundreds of stories. The Sullivan Dojo grew beyond Hartford, inspiring similar programs in a dozen cities. Emma's story became a case study in law schools. A rallying cry for self-defense legislation. In the corner of the dojo is a banner, in memory of Officer Michael Sullivan, who taught that true strength lies not in the fist, but in the open hand. In Emma's own handwriting, and in knowing that defending yourself is not violence, its love turned outward like a shield. The emails still come 5 years later. Stories of strength found in unexpected moments, of bullies faced down with quiet confidence. Emma reads everyone, files them carefully, and continues teaching, knowing that somewhere out there, another scared kid is learning to stand tall, plant their feet like trees, and be water instead of stone. The revolution hadn't come with fists or fury. It had come with balance, with breath, with the radical notion that every person deserved to walk through the world unafraid. And in gyms and community centers and converted garages across the country, they learned one stance at a time, one breath at a time, one student at a time, until the world itself began to shift just a little toward justice.